Hey, what's up? What's going on? It's your girl Mary Jane. Please like, comment, subscribe to my YouTube channel. It'd be greatly appreciated from the bottom of my heart, my peace, my peoples. I would just like to say thank you each and every one of you guys that like, comment, and subscribe. I really do appreciate it. I just wanted to say thank you. So let's talk Baller Season 3, Episode 7, Ricky Leaks. So we start off with Spence having a nightmare. He's walking with Vernon, Ricky, Charles, and they're walking, and all of a sudden Spence sees something as like there's lava all in the ground. It's like a big explosion in the ground, and you can't cross on the other side, and it's just crazy. And so then he realized he's having a nightmare. But before then, he's talking about annuities, and he's talking about having money come to you every year. And then this guy jumps in, and he explained to them what annuities are or whatever. So that was cool too. I think his name, I forgot what his name was. But so anyway, Spence wakes up. He realizes he's late for a meeting, so he heads out there to work. And once he heads out there to work, there's a meeting with Mr. Anderson and Joe and two other ladies that's looking to buy their company. And Spencer's like, Spencer was like, "Oh, it's car trouble." Miss Anderson, "Yeah, okay, I bet really good car trouble, huh?" And so they're talking about selling the business. And so Spencer is like, "Hey, listen." Um, he's not feeling kind of right about the situation, so he calls a meeting out in the hallway. So he meets Anderson and Joe out in the hallway. He's talking to him, and he was like, "I don't think this is a good idea. I can do both things. I can run both companies, and I can also work on this Vegas deal. But we already know Mr. Anderson wants to make that $1 billion deal. He's going to sell everything he has. He's even willing to sell his beautiful yachts." And so Spence is so Mr. Anderson says that, "Oh, how can you manage two companies? You can't even manage to get here on time. You can't even manage to wear a tie after I told you to." He was like, "I took Ambien. That's what happened." He was like, "Yeah, okay." He was like, it was the side effects from the Ambien. I didn't get that much sleep. I didn't get that much rest. I'm still exhausted. And so, like, yeah, and so they continue to argue. And so Joe and Mr. Anderson are on the same page. Spencer's not on the same page as of now. And so then we move forward and we move on to Charles is sitting at home, and he's looking at the TV, and he sees that Ricky is on Sports Center for punching his next door neighbor in the face when he entered his next door neighbor's house by accident, because he thought it was his house, because he is suffering from a concussion that has not healed, and he's trying to keep this a secret. And so as Charles is watching this, Jason calls, and Jason was like, "Oh, you know what? I did get that email that you sent out to everybody. I do have a meeting for you with GM, for the Chargers. If you're interested, check it out. I'm gonna put your name at the top of the list." And then Charles is like, "Oh, thank you so much." And then Jason is like, "Just do me a favor. When you get the job, make sure you give my players the best deal possible." And Charles was like, "Oh yeah." And so they're talking a little bit about Ricky, how embarrassing it looks, how terrible it looks that Ricky's on, Sports Center, talking about the situation. He said it's so much worse seeing it on TV. So I guess they're alluding to when these sports stars are on TMZ and when on TV, and when they're on Sports Center for bad behavior or whatever, it just really hurts them. And it hurts their financial advisors. It hurts, their publicists, their managers, and things like that. So I guess they're showing us that part. And so, but Charles is happy that he might be able to move from his location because he's not feeling his boss right now. And so then you have Ricky and Jason and Spencer are at Ricky's house, and Ricky's playing basketball. And so they're trying to talk about the situation. They're talking about the tape being leaked of Ricky hitting the young boy Jimmy in the face and everything like that. And so what's his name, Spencer's still kind of like he's still kind of like out of it because of the ambient, and him and Ricky go into it. And Ricky says, "Next time I see that kid, I'm going to punch him again in the face for leaking that videotape." And so Spencer's like, "You can't do that. I don't think he leaked the tape." And Spence knows he didn't leak the tape because the lady Candace from the league told him that if he don't back down from this Vegas deal, that she's going to start coming after his clientele. And probably come up to his company as well, because he just got licensed to be a financial advisor for, the league. So we'll see where that goes. And Jason was like, I don't know what. Jason was like, well, you guys gotta, we gotta do something about this or whatever. And so, Ricky is telling Spencer, you look stupid over there with that suit on, just sitting there with that dumb suit on. And then, Spencer says to Ricky, oh, you're the one that's sitting out here playing basketball and dressed up like a pimp. So that was funny, them going back and forth at each other. Yeah, Ricky was like, you just over there looking dumb in that suit, talking all crazy. And then they're talking about the Patriots still, trying to get Ricky to be signed to the Patriots still, to be signed to New England. And basically New England wants Ricky to do an evaluation, basically see a head doctor to make sure he's not crazy. So that kind of helps Ricky in a way, because Ricky doesn't want anybody to know that he's having problems. He's healing from a concussion, and he had a concussion. So if they find that out, they won't sign him. But if they think he's crazy, they would sign him. And that's what Jason tells Ricky. They rather, as long as you're physically okay, but if you're kind of messed up mentally, the league doesn't really care. They'll take you on regardless, as long as you're kind of damaged or whatever, but not damaged physically. So basically they're giving shots at the league, saying, they take a lot of unstable people and they don't give them the help that they need, and blah blah blah. So Jason says that to Ricky, and so Ricky was like, okay. Then Ricky's thinking about it. Yeah, all right. So okay, I'll do that. It sounds good. And so then after that, Jason is getting into his car and he's talking to Spence, and he was like, Spence, you know what the problem is? Vernon gets suspended, Ricky's tape being leaked. When I track it, it all comes back to you. Something that you're doing, you're not taking care of your clients, you're not being responsible. It's like you're always having a problem. Once you manage your clients better, manage the team better, you're not doing a good job, because you are the biggest problem for the players. You and the shit that you get into. You okay, I'm not telling you not to work on that Vegas deal or whatever. It's cool, but make sure your house is in order. So basically Jason's no fool. And then Spence goes, I think it's that kid that leaked the tape. And so, Jason goes, I thought you just said the kid didn't leak the tape. And then Jason goes, you're not going to try to talk to me like I'm stupid and talk to me like I'm dumb, like I'm some little child. I'm not one of your clients, Spencer. So get it together, bro. And then Jason bounced. And Spencer's being called on his bullshit, because he's not letting people know that the league is coming after his players. That's the main reason why Vernon got suspended and got a drug test, because they been knew that Vernon was taking cannabis for his injury and everything. So then, Charles, he goes to see his wife. His wife is so pretty. He goes to see his wife, Mrs. Green, at work or whatever, and he brings her some food. And then he noticed that she gets a phone call, and the phone call is from Ricky. So she goes, oh, husband, I got to text this for a second. And she comes back, and he was like, oh, so why did Ricky call you? She was like, I can't tell you that. It's personal business, it's work. I can't tell you, it's confidential information. But she doesn't say that. She just said, honey, don't worry about that. So Charles is worried about that. Charles is upset about that situation. He wants to know why Ricky's calling his wife. He doesn't know if Ricky's trying to get with his wife, because all the players do think his wife is beautiful, and plus she knows how to twerk, because she twerked last season, I believe. And so, Charles, he leaves, and, Mrs. Green, she goes back to taking care of her patients. And now, Spencer gets a call from Wayne. Wayne is the guy that Mr. Vegas is supposed to help him with the deal, and they're talking about, the voting's we're gonna be voting in a couple of days or whatever, and the voting looks good for us to have it. And so Spencer's like, almost good, pretty good. It's not good for me. And so then Wayne goes, did you sell your company yet? He was like, I don't know. I want to make sure this deal's secure before I sell anything, because I'm in a tight spot, a really tight spot right now. And plus, is the governor involved? Is the governor gonna vote yes? And Wayne is like, what? He was like, what happens when I get into a tight spot? Spencer, I lube myself up, and then just hangs up. Wayne's a complete asshole. And so then now we get to, Spence goes back to his office, and he's talking to Joe. Joe got Maximo in his office. And basically they're trying to dig up all information on the kid that, that they believe leaked the tape of Jimmy. Jimmy got punched in the face by Ricky, so they got some forensic guy to leak up all the dirt on him and all that other stuff to discredit him, but they can't find anything on him because he's just a 16-year-old kid living an average life. And so there was like, but this is one thing, since Ricky punched him in the face, he only had 700 followers. Now he's up to 13K followers, and that's only been that was 17 hours ago. And now look at he's taking a top cheerleader to the prom, so he's milking this and he loving this situation. And so Maximo was like, well, there is something that's going on today. He's doing a Facebook Live. Who does that remind you of? All the gossip and all the crazy stuff that happened on the internet, right? People do their lives, their Instagram lives. They go live and, and they try to expose people. So the 16-year-old kid, Jimmy, he's going to go do a live or whatever. So, Maximo was like, you want me to send some of my boys? And Spence was like, I got it. I'll take care of it. And so Ricky goes to the head doctor, right? So because the Patriots wants him to see the head doctor, psychiatrist, before they assign him whatever, to make sure that he he's basically. And so he goes to see him, and the doctor was like trying to get him to talk about himself or whatever. So then Ricky realized he can't say anything about his injury, and he can't act like there's something going on wrong with his his neurological thing or whatever. So basically, Ricky starts to talk about his mom and his father, how, he gets angry, how there's two different people. There's a Ricky and then there's a Jerry. And, sometimes he feel like this world's such a dark, dark place. Then sometimes he feel like this world's such a wonderful place. Sometimes he thinks about killing himself. He just doesn't know what to do. And, that's why he ended up at the kid's house. So basically, he's selling the story to the head doctor, and the head doctors believe in it, and they end up started talking about football and things like that, because the doctor was like, you took a lot of hits. He was like, yeah, it ain't nothing. And I'm having problems with my baby mama. She taking my baby, and it's just a tough situation. So Ricky kind of skeets out that situation. So that's cool. And so Spence goes to see Jimmy, the 16-year-old boy at school, to stop him from doing a Facebook Live. And so then Ricky goes, Spence, so Spence goes to see the 16-year-old kid, Jimmy, and he's talking to Jimmy, and he was like, so, Jimmy, I'm Ricky's friend. I represent, Ricky. And so the 16-year-old kid's like, why are you representing Ricky? What can you possibly do for Ricky? Just shit it all over Spencer. and then Spencer knew he was being shitted on. He was like, I'm his financial advisor, okay? He was like, oh, all right. And so Jimmy was like, yo, I'm popular because of that punch and everything. And, it made me famous. So I'm capitalizing off the situation. And we hear that so many times. That happens each and every day online. Somebody capitalized off of somebody else's mistake. And so the kid he was like, I'm going to need you to cancel that Facebook Live. He goes, I already canceled the Facebook Live or whatever. And so, Spencer's like, there's more important things in life than attention and all this other stuff. And so Jimmy was like, what's more important than pussy? What's more important than that? And so Spencer was like, integrity. He was like, are you serious? He was like, what about health? He was like, I'm 16 years old. Ain't nothing wrong with me. I'm good. As for health, I'm fine. And then, Spence goes, you won't stay that way if you do that live. And so then the 16-year-old kid, Jimmy, goes, well, you already see I could take a punch, so hey. And he goes, TMZ offered me, $10,000 or whatever. But you know what? Know what I really want? If Ricky can pick me up from school, take me to school, and his red Ferrari, that would be cool, blah, 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 blah. So, we're going to see what happens with that situation. So Charles, he gets home. He's getting upset with his wife. He's turning the TV up loud so he doesn't have to talk to her. She goes, what's the problem? He was like, yo, why was Ricky calling? He was like, I can't discuss my work with you or my personal business with work or my clients. And so, Charles was like, well, I tell you everything. That's because you need help. I don't need your help with my field. And he was like, oh, you got me there. You got me there, mommy. And so, moving on from that, what's his name? Spence, he goes to tell, Ricky that, hey, listen, the kid is not going to go to TMZ. All he really wants you to do is pick him up, take him to school in your red car, whatever, and this and that. And and it'd be real nice for that's what the kid really wants. He just wants like the fame and the popularity and all this other stuff. And so Spence is trying to make it like that's all you got to do and make the situation better for you. And so then Ricky's putting two together. He was like, you're not making nothing better for me. You causing problem. When I look at the core things, it's you. I want you to stay out of my business. I want you to stay out of my personal business, because every time you turn around, it's always something that you're doing. And that's the same thing Jason said to Ricky. So Ricky might have an injury, but he knows that, there's something going on with Spence. But then Spence did tell him, hey, listen, the 16-year-old kid, Jimmy, didn't leak the tape. It was actually leaked because, they're really mad at me and upset with me because I want to do this Vegas deal. And so Ricky's going at Spence, because Ricky's been saying for a long time, won't you just focus on the clients, focus on us? Why you want to build a whole new stadium and all this other stuff? Do what you know best. And so, Ricky was like, I don't want to hear nothing you got to say. I'll take care. I'll handle my own business. And so then, Spence, he leaves, and there they go. And then, it's too funny. And so then Reggie and Joe, they go meet up with Candace. They go meet up with Candace in her office or whatever. And so Reggie being Reggie, he's all like, I want you to take, do something about these suspensions for Vernon. I want you look like a boss, act like a boss, and be a nice boss, and give him back some of his games and everything. And he was like, you can be a hard ass somewhere else. You're supposed to be setting like standards or whatever. Everybody follows you and follows your vibe. And then, Joe jumps in and was like, it's your status, the standard, the status quo or whatever. And so, Reggie's going on, and Reggie is just, saying that, let's get to the core of the problem. And he was like, you can be hateful somewhere else, and be mean somewhere else. And like, he's just talking to her, and he was kind of like disrespecting. He was like, you look like a boss, won't you act like a boss? What he says to Candace. And he was like, suspending him for 4 games. That's no fun. That's really upset. That's really bad. How come you can't take our apology, apologize to you, and let it be that? Why you have to suspend him from these games, And so she goes, oh, thank you so much, Reggie. And Reggie goes, when you let a brother speak, you don't know what he might accomplish. He can make something out of himself. And so then Ricky goes to pick up Jimmy, the 16-year-old kid, and his Ferrari, takes him to school, picks him up from school, whatever. He drives mad, crazy fast. I thought they were going to crash and everything. So then Ricky pulls over, and he starts talking to the kid. And Ricky starts to tell the kid all his personal business that, hey, listen, I have a concussion, and I haven't got healed yet. Nobody knows this. Not one person knows this. And that's probably the reason why I came into your house or whatever. And my career could be ended. So I'm telling you this. I'm being personal to you. I don't know why Ricky felt like he needed to do that. But I guess Ricky had to release this information because he can't tell anybody else about the situation, because he doesn't want it to leak, because he's trying to, sign with New England, with the Patriots. But it just seems like Ricky shouldn't have did that. But anyways, the kid was like, oh, I'm not no snitch. I don't believe in that. I'm not no rat. I'm not going to tell on you or whatever, blase and a third. And so then Ricky lets the kid drive his car, because the kid tells Ricky that his father won't let him drive his car. So then the kid drives Ricky's car. I thought the kid was going to get into an accident too as well, and that was going to be something else that was going to be on the media, but it didn't happen. So then Joe, Mr. Anderson, and Spence meet up, and they're still discussing this. They start to talk about Reggie and how, Reggie and Joe went to go see Candace. And so, Mr. Anderson goes, I don't know why Joe feels like he needs to download me his day. Like, who cares? And so then Joe is poured in Mr. Anderson a glass of wine, a glass of scotch. He took a glass of scotch, and he was like, guess what? Instead of 4 suspension, it's been doubled down to only 2. And he goes, I feel so inspired. I feel like I was back on deck. I never felt this good before. I never had this much aspiration and when my wife died, this is just like the feeling I had when my wife died. After she died, I had so much aspiration, and I'm feeling like I'm back to normal. I'm feeling like everything is good, man. And so now Joe doesn't want to sell. And so, and Mr. Anderson is like, "What? Come on, are you serious?" And then Spence said, "You know what? I'm just done. Well, we're just gonna sell. That's it." And Mr. Anderson's happy. So we'll find out if they're gonna sell SM, if that's even gonna work out, and even if are they gonna get the votes? Is the governor gonna vote for the stadium to come? It seems like it's gonna be too much, and Mr. Anderson doesn't have that much capital, and then when Spence and when Joe first went into this Vegas deal, they thought they was going to be able to keep their jobs and keep their clients. And now they're not going to be able to keep their clients, and the money flow is going to get hard for them. You watch. So I think that they might not even go through with the deal. And plus, she has a lot of traps set for them not to make it. So we'll see what happens next week. Peace. I'm out.